Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 406. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is scale your business by creating leverage to create partnerships. Scale your business by creating leverage to create partnerships. Now, many entrepreneurs want to partner with other people, brands, or companies before they're truly ready and before they've created the necessary leverage. So in order to be at the table, guys, you must bring something to the table or bring your own table. Today, we're going to talk about creating that leverage to create mutually beneficial relationships. So we're going to unpack that along with a couple other things on today's episode. But before we get into the content, I just want to share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and my resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. And last and certainly not least, my new rebranded, rebooted BEBacademy.com, which is an online learning portal that has all types of resources, masterclasses, workshops, and online courses to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. So make sure you go to BEBacademy.com and get 3 days free access to everything inside the academy. Today's show is sponsored by PodcasterWeekly.com, the newsletter. If you ever thought about starting a successful 6-figure podcast, make sure you go to podcasterweekly.com and subscribe to the newsletter. Now, in the newsletter, you'll get all types of content, resources, and help in building a 6-figure podcast. Go to podcasterweekly.com. And finally, if you're having trouble building a successful, sustainable business, it may be because you're not generating the type of leads that you need. So I still have several spots available for my freeleadsworkshop.com training session. Now, this is a 2-session workshop that'll teach you how to create a self-liquidating lead generation system customized specifically for your business. So once the training is over, you can start generating free leads to build your system. Now, it's only $197 and it's a 2-session training, and it's only open to 10 people, and we have 2 spots left. The first session is April 27th and the second session is May 4th. So if you're interested, go to freeleadsworkshop.com. Let me tell you who this is for. So if you aren't making enough sales with your product or services, this is for you. If you don't have a predictable lead generation system, this is for you. If you're about to go out of business, this is definitely for you. And if you're looking to scale your business and you want predictable income, this workshop is for you. Once again, go to freeleadsworkshop.com. 2 sessions. If you don't make both sessions, you still have access to the recordings. freeleadsworkshop.com. Now, let's get into today's content. So today's show topic is scale your business by creating leverage to create partnerships. Now, when I did the BEB live event about 2 weeks ago, during the Q&A, I was asked a very poignant question. And the question was, how do we create partnerships with mainstream white-owned companies, or do we forget about that and just stick to our own? And also the second part of that question was, should you code switch to create partnerships? So how do we create partnerships with mainstream white-owned companies, or do we forget about that and just stick to our own? And the second question is, should you code switch to create partnerships? So let's break this down into two different segments, I guess you could say. Number one, how do you create leverage to create partnerships, not necessarily selling your platform or your intellectual property? And number two, should you code switch to create partnerships? So let's talk about how do you create leverage to create partnerships. The first thing you have to do, guys, to build leverage is you have to build your platform first. That gives you leverage, right? You can't come to the table with nothing, or you can't create a table without anything. So when you're looking to partner with these other companies or outside companies, remember, partnerships usually mean people bring the equal amount of assets to the table, right? And so you have to bring something to the table. Many times I think we're premature when we're looking to partner. And I'll use podcasting as an example. I get a ton of new podcasters that want to monetize their podcast right away. And the first question I ask them is, how many downloads do you average in 30 days per episode, right? So in 30 days, how many downloads did that one episode get? And that's normally how people track podcasts. So you do an episode on the first of the month. On the 30th, how many downloads did you get for that one episode? Okay. And so here's a big thing that's going on in the podcasting industry. So there's a podcast out there, two Philly brothers, $1 million worth of game with Gilly and Wallow, right? They started doing crazy numbers. Then Barstool Sports came in and they actually purchased the podcast. I believe, from what I've investigated and researched, they bought 50% of their podcast for $3 million. Okay. Also, if you ever heard, what's the podcast? All the Smoke. It's with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, two former NBA players. Showtime basically owns that podcast. So what happened was, a lot of times you can't bring anything to the table if you haven't built up your platform yet. So when you start doing numbers, that's when you become attractive to outside entities. So number one, and how do you create leverage to create partnerships, is you got to build your platform first to create that leverage. Who's going to want to advertise or invest in your podcast and you got 10 people listening and 7 of them are your family members? Nobody. So you have to build your platform. That's why I'm so adamant, guys, about building your platform. And so when I got that question asked to me in Los Angeles, what I basically said was, hey, I have a platform now that I built over 7.5 years, and I can determine who plays on my platform or not. So when I get these companies that reach out to me, Masterworks, Riverside FM, all of these other companies that are not black-owned companies, the only reason they're doing it is because they think that they can get a return on their investment. Okay. But if I didn't have the downloads and the exposure that I have, they're not coming to talk to me. So when I first started, nobody was talking to me about advertising. So how do you create the leverage to create the partnerships? Number one, build your platform first. Okay. You got to understand that you got to build something and come to the table with something. The second thing you have to do is understand your monetization strategy for your own platform. How are you going to make money? How much money are you going to make? And how much money are you projected to make? You see, the problem is when you talk about partnerships or getting bought out, the people that are buying you out are trying to do these calculations because it's an arbitrage. They're not going to pay more for your business than they're going to get in return. They may pay you in advance, but they figure if I pay you $3 million over the term of whatever the contract is, I'm going to make a lot more than that. And so if you look at podcasting networks make money by aggregating multiple podcasts together. So you may have one podcast that does 10,000 downloads a month. Another one does 20,000. Another one does 100,000, whatever. And what the network does is they aggregate all of those numbers. So out of the 10 podcasts that they have on the network, maybe they do 200,000 downloads every 30 days. So now they take that number and they go to advertisers and say, hey, you can advertise on our network. Now, what do the podcasters get from that? They get a percentage of the advertising. But obviously, the network wouldn't be in business if they weren't making money. Many times it's a 50-50 split based on how many downloads you have. So the network has 200,000 downloads, but somebody else's show has 10,000 downloads. They're not going to get the same revenue that another show that has 100,000 downloads is, because they're not doing the numbers. The person that really is benefiting is the network. Now, it does also benefit the small podcaster. They're only going to get a little bit of advertising, but if you're only doing 10,000 downloads a month, you're not going to make that much money. You might make what? I think the average is what? $20, $25 per thousand. So you might make $250 for a month. So the benefit for the small podcaster in the podcast network is, hey, I can build up my downloads, and eventually, hopefully I build them up enough where I can leave. Okay. But number two, you got to understand your motivation, your monetization strategy for your own platform. How do you make money? And with podcasting, you can make money, and I'm just using this as an example, in multiple ways. You can sell your own products or services. You can sell affiliate products or services. You can take advertising. Okay. And what you need to understand is how are you going to monetize that platform? How much money are you going to be making per month, per year on your own? And how much money are you projecting to make over the next 12 to 18 months? Okay. And what we're talking about, guys, is scaling your business by creating leverage to create partnerships. And what we're focusing on now is, how do you create leverage to create those partnerships? Number one, build your platform first to create leverage. There's no leverage without a platform. You need an audience. Okay. Understand your monetization strategy for your own platform. That's number two. Number three, look at what someone else is willing to pay for your intellectual property, be it your podcast, be it your website, be it whatever. So how are they going to monetize your business, and how much will they make off of your business? So in the example of $1 million worth of game, if they're paying them $3 million, guess what? They feel that over a period of time, they're going to make more money than $3 million. So it'll be a good investment for them. Trust me, they wouldn't be paying money if they didn't think they were going to make money. So the question you have to ask yourself is, can I do this on my own? Can I do that on my own? And I'm going to give you a real life example that I'm literally playing around in my head right now with my podcast. Number four, can you create a system that maximizes your monetization opportunities, and what does that look like? Can you create a system that maximizes your monetization opportunities, and what does that look like? So for my podcast, this is something that's going on right now. I have a podcasting advertising agency that wants to sell ads for me at a 70-30 split. I'll get 70%. They'll get 30%. I get the right of first refusal on all the ads. All the ads have to be aligned with what I'm doing. Now, there's a caveat to that, right? So the question is, can I create my own system to be able to generate more money than this advertising sales organization can for me? So can I create a dedicated sales team? So that's what I'm thinking about now. Can I create a dedicated sales team that will allow me to go out and make more money, minus the fees and salaries I got to pay the people on the team, versus hiring somebody else who's come to me and saying, hey, look, it's an exclusive agreement. And that was one of the sticking points, because I need to be able to sell my own ads. So what we came up with, and I'm still pondering this right now, is number one, they can actually go out and sell to the big agencies that handle the big accounts, and I'll still be able to go and do my own advertising on myself. So number four, can you create a system that maximizes your monetization opportunities, and what does it look like? And so that's what I'm dealing with right now. So I'm playing with the numbers. Can I create my own sales team for podcast advertising on my newsletter, all of that good stuff? So that's what you have to understand. So you create leverage, guys, by building something, by building an asset. The only way you got leverage is with an asset. You can't go to the table or create a table, right, if you don't have anything to bring to the table. So that's why a lot of times we're jumping too fast. We haven't built anything. We haven't created an asset yet. And until you create an asset, you have absolutely no leverage. Now, your asset could be intellectual property. You may know how to do something that people are willing to pay for. You may be a personality or something like that, you have cachet. So in the example of All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, that podcast, they have a big social media following. So Showtime probably reached out to him and said, you know what? We like what you're doing. You're getting good traction. We're going to give you a salary. Now, whatever that salary and production cost is, guess what? Showtime is betting that they're going to make more money than they actually are putting out. So it's all arbitrage. So I'll use the example. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Master P's story. Master P and his brother were flying down to, I think it was LA, to meet with Jimmy Iovine, a big record producer and distributor. And so with Interscope Records. And so Jimmy Iovine offered Master P $1 million. Now, he had already been slinging records out of his shop and doing 100,000 plus units by himself. Okay? He created a platform that created leverage. So they offered him $1 million and he turned it down. On the plane back home, his brother was like, yo, dude, what are you doing? He said he had $500 in his pocket. And he said, if this man offers me $1 million, what is this business truly worth? And he made one of the greatest deals in record industry history. I think he had a 90-10 or 80-20 deal where he got 80% of the distribution and Interscope got 20. It was either 90-10 or 80-20. But he understood his value. He didn't come there with an idea, yeah, I'm going to create No Limit Records. We ain't put a record out yet, but I know we going to sell. He didn't do that. He went there and did the work. And then when No Limit went there and got the offer, what happened? He was like, nah, you're not doing it. I'm not taking $1 million. I understand what I'm worth. He had leverage. So finally, when they did come back to him, it was a totally different deal. It was a straight distribution deal with Master P getting the lion's share of that. So once again, the only reason people are going to pay you X amount is because they think they can make more money on the back end. And that's okay if you're ready to cash out. But how do you create leverage to create partnerships? Build your platform first. Understand your monetization strategy for your own platform or IP. Look at what someone else is willing to pay for you for your intellectual property. How are they going to make money? How are they going to monetize it? And how much are they going to make off of you? And number 4, can you create a system that maximizes your monetization opportunities? And what does that look like? And like I said, for me, instead of going with an organization that's going to sell ads for me, I can create my own sales team and sell ads for my podcast and newsletter. So we're talking today, guys, about scaling your business by creating leverage to create partnerships. So that was the first part of the question that I answered out in LA is how do we create partnerships with mainstream white-owned companies, or do we forget about it and just stick to our own? All right. And so it doesn't matter if it's a white-owned company, black-owned company. When value is created, people will want a part of it. When value is created, people will want a part of it. They may want to buy you. They may want to partner with you. But you have to create that value first. Okay. And if there's money to be made, people are going to look at it. So the reason they're looking at advertising on Black Entrepreneur Blueprint is they figure that they can make more money from partnering with me and running their ads on my platform than it costs them. Okay. So if some company is paying me $2,000 a week, they figure in the long run that they're gonna make more than $2,000 in a week. It's just economic and fiscal sense. Nothing tricky. Okay. It's arbitrage. That's what business is. Buy low, sell high. All right. So you make the money in between, arbitrage. So that was first part of the question. The second part of the question was, should you code switch to create partnerships? So we all know what code switching is. I don't have to explain that to anybody. We code switch a lot of times at work. If we're in a corporate environment, we may not talk like we naturally talk because we're code switching. Okay. Now, the question was, should you code switch to create partnerships? And the answer that I gave pretty much was that it all depends. What type of business or product or service do you have? And does it align with what you're trying to do? So once again, if I'm a black-faced business, black-facing meaning my customers are black, like Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, there's no need for me to code switch, right? And so to that question, I was like, no, I don't even have to think about code switching because I don't have to. I built my platform up enough where people are going to come to me, or they are coming to me, and I determine who's going to play on my platform. So if somebody comes to me, the opportunity or the offer looks right, be it masterworks.io, riverside.fm, anybody else, podcasterweekly.com, the newsletter, any of these people that come to me, if it makes sense, I determine if they're going to be able to play in my sandbox. Okay? So it all depends on if you want to code switch or if you need to code switch. I don't need to do it because I'm blessed to be able to build a platform where it specifically is for us and by us. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. I'm talking to y'all. It's me. I'm one of the people that I'm talking to. I'm a black entrepreneur, so I'm speaking your language. So I don't have to code switch. I don't need to code switch. If you want to play in my sandbox, then this is how it goes down, right? Now, if you have a business that is generic in form, you may have a different thought process. So another example with my Flatiron brand, I'm nowhere near that. People don't know a black guy owns this Flatiron brand. A bald-headed black dude that never used a flat iron in his life owns a successful hair care Flatiron brand. Okay, so am I code switching? No. But I just don't put myself out there as the owner of that business. Okay. So it all really depends. And does it align, with what you're trying to do? I did an episode, I forgot the number, but to be or not to be a black owned business. That was one of the most downloaded episodes that I have. I think it's in the 260s or 360s. I'm not sure, but you can Google it. To be or not to be a black owned business. And that kind of touches on that code switching. If you're strong enough, guess what? Hey, I'm a black owned business. It is what it is. So my platform is such that I don't need outside advertising. I don't need it. If it makes sense, I'll take it, but I don't need that to sustain myself. I have other businesses. And once again, when I started the podcast, I didn't even start the podcast with any monetization in mind because once again, my money comes from somewhere else. But now that I've built this platform and I have other entities reaching out to me, individuals and entities that want to partner with me and come on my platform, like, you know what? If it makes sense and it aligns with my message and it speaks directly to the BEB family members, yeah, I'll take a look at it. But I don't need to code switch and I don't need to do that based on this business, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Now, there's certain times, and for example, when we were in LA, one of the brothers said that he has a production company, and when he was trying to work with Netflix, sometimes he'd send his white assistant in for the initial meeting. Then once she got the feedback, then he come into the next meeting. So it's almost like a code switch, but basically a bait and switch, right? Because he wasn't sure if he'd get the same thing from if he went in there himself as a black man, and you're dealing with the entertainment industry that is predominantly owned, by whites and Jewish people. And so you have to be cognizant of where your industry is. But here's what I said. So Melvin Graham, and you guys will hear the episode within the next week or two. He is the producer of a documentary, Amazon Prime documentary series called Black Business LA. And so he said he went to Paramount. Paramount was like, it's all right, but that's not really our thing. And what I said was, guess what? If you drop this and you had 500,000 downloads for your documentary, guess what? Paramount, Netflix, Amazon, everybody and their grandmother would be looking to partner with you. So that's what I mean by building assets or building your platform. Because most times, guys, it boils down to money. Yes, there's some things that are we're going to be kept out of because of our race. We know that. That ain't nothing new, right? We got to work twice as hard to get half as much. We know that. But there's certain entities and partners or partnerships that are focusing on the dollars. So I guarantee you he would be very attractive if he did 500,000 downloads on his own. That's just like Master P. When he was selling records with no limit out of his record store and all of that stuff, he was attractive. You know why? Because he put the work in. So when we talk about how do you create leverage to create partnerships, it's by building an asset that people want to be a part of or want to be have a piece of. That's the whole key. You can't go. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do it off of a concept. You can, but the way to really get partnerships, guys, is to focus on that. And the other part of the question, the first question was, and I forgot to really focus on this, is here's the first question. How do we create partnerships with mainstream white-owned companies, or do we forget about it and just stick to our own? And I believe it was Bessie Smith, a singer back in the early 1900s, said, everything I get from my people. So when she goes out and does her shows were on, at the black, the Chitlin circuit, the Apollo, all the other different major venues for blacks entertainers back at that time. And basically what she was saying was, guess what? I don't need money from nobody else because my people love me and they support me. So I don't have to go outside. And that's really up to us, depending upon what our product and or service is. Do you want to go outside? Do you want to extract money from other ethnicities like they've been doing from us for years? Okay. And it's funny because other ethnicities don't mind extracting money from our culture. So you look at BET, which is Viacom, right? Which is a white-owned company. They basically bought BET. Bob Johnson sold it, bought BET, and now, even though it caters to us, it's not owned by us. You look at, as I mentioned, some of the podcasts out there. And here's the crazy thing, guys. I'm just going to use or give you my personal thoughts. If you're building a platform, right, you got to understand how powerful that is, because you can monetize that platform. And I don't care what type of platform it is, be it a website, a blog, a podcast, a video channel, whatever. I don't care what type of platform it is. If you can speak to the masses, if you have an audience, you can make money. All you have to do is listen to your audience. What do they want? What do they need? They'll tell you what they want to need. And then all you have to do is supply that. So a lot of the products and stuff that I create for Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, a lot of them come from the BEB family members. Hey, man, I need to learn more about this. Can you do this? Can you create a product for this or a solution for this? Can you do a workshop or a masterclass? So I listen to the audience. That's what happens when you build your own platform. And don't be so quick to give away your platform. If that's your goal, to build it and exit, that's cool. Mission accomplished. But just don't sell your platform or partner with anybody just for the money. The beauty is being able to walk away from any deal. That's power right there. So when people come to me about advertising on the podcast or certain products I don't want that money. I don't want money for alcohol advertising. You know what? That's something that I'm not trying to promote. Now, do I drink beer and bourbon? Yeah, I do. Right? But I'm not going to promote that on the podcast. I'm not going to promote cigarettes. I'm not going to promote death or things that can lead to death. You know, you can speak life or death from the tongue, right? I want to promote life. So certain things I'm not cool with. I don't care if Hennessy came and wanted to do $1 million a year deal with me. I'm not doing it. It's about principle. Could I use the money? Of course, but I don't need the money. All money ain't good money. So stop thinking about just that dollar. All money isn't good money. And what we're talking about today, guys, is scaling your business by creating leverage to create partnerships. And the questions that were asked to me, how do we create partnerships with mainstream white-owned companies, or do we forget that and just stick to our own? And the second part of the question was, should you code switch to create partnerships? And I think that's totally up to you. Now, let me go and share my social media contact information and resource links before we do the last quarter of the show. Everything I'm about to say, guys, is on my website, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. You want the short version, go to bebconnect.com. It'll take you right to the same website. So I mentioned at the top of the show, guys, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. You can go to anewblackwallstreet.com, pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. Once again, it's all on the website too. Now, if you need additional assistance building your successful, sustainable e-commerce business, my flagship program, pound for pound, the best on the market, Brand Builder Academy Elite. You can go to bbaelite.com. It is a 15-week implementation program from product ideation to product creation to selling your product or service on your site and or applicable sites, bbaelite.com. I also mentioned at the top of the show, guys, 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community. The first one is besmartbyblack.com. So if you're a Black product producer and you want to sell your products to Black consumers worldwide, upload your product information to besmartbyblack.com. It is free. And now you can connect with Black consumers that want to buy products from Black producers. Now, I didn't forget about you freelancers. If you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, upload your information to HireBlackFreelancers.com, HIRE, BlackFreelancers.com. Once again, it is free. And now you can connect with Black business owners and Black consumers that want to hire Black freelancers. Okay, and once again, don't forget, guys, BEBacademy.com. Just go there. You have 3 days free access to all the resources. It's an online learning portal with all types of different tracks. You can learn about setting up your LLCs, marketing, e-commerce, finance, BEBacademy.com. Once again, everything I just said is on the website, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Now, let me give you my social media contact information real quick. Anything long, family, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. That's JAYJONES, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, jjones001, JAYJONES001. Instagram, I got 2 IG accounts. The first one is jjones4real, JAYJONES, the number 4. REAL. The second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Now, YouTube, guys, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because I have additional content on YouTube that is not on the podcast. And yes, the podcast does come out on YouTube every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as it also comes out on all your major podcast platforms every Monday, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, hit that subscribe button. LinkedIn, connect with me there, J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Also, don't forget, if you're on Clubhouse, connect with me at I am J Jones, at I am J Jones. And also, guys, don't forget my companion podcast, Ask J Live. You can go to askjlive.com or blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Click the podcast and you'll be able to subscribe. Now, I've changed the time for Ask J Live to every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you listen to this show Monday when it drops, tomorrow you can come on and you can talk to me about your business, my business, entrepreneurship in general, or the subject topic. So make sure you subscribe to AskJLive.com. And truly, guys, you can use this as a way to connect with me and get free game, free consultation about your business. And once again, it's Clubhouse on steroids. It's exclusively through the call-in app on Apple and Android. So AskJLive.com. Love to have you guys on there to discuss whatever you want to discuss, and we can chop it up. All right, let's get ready to close it on out, guys. And today we're talking about scaling your business by creating leverage to create partnerships. And so when you have an asset, and I want to harp on this, guys, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. You got to build an asset or have some type of intellectual property or something that is valuable for somebody else to want to partner with you. You also have to understand what your asset is. What's it worth? Once again, everything in business is arbitrage. Buy low, sell high, right? So if somebody is going to pay you X amount of dollars for your business or whatever, how much is it really worth to them? And I gave you the example of Master P, right? They wanted to, buy his record company for $1 million. And he was like, no, if you're giving me that, how much is it really worth? So don't sleep on what your true value is. And I'm telling you guys right now, if you don't learn nothing from Jay Jones and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, it's you better build your platform. When you build a platform, there are so many monetization opportunities available to you. It's sick. It's ridiculous. Okay? So just say you had a website that focused on dogs, right? And I'm just making this up. ilovedogs.com. But there is a website that focuses on pets, and that's doing over like $50,000 a month. So let's just say you had a website that focused on dogs, right? The monetization capabilities of that type of website, if it gets a lot of traffic, is crazy. So you can sell your own physical products. Say you're selling dog collars, dog mats, or whatever, right? You can sell your own digital products. You could be selling training courses, how to train your dog or something like that, right? You could sell services. So if you had a kennel or whatever, you had some type of services, you can sell services. You can sell somebody else's physical products. So say you're becoming an Amazon affiliate and you're linking to dog products on Amazon that you're writing about on your blog. Okay. So man, it's crazy. Now you have advertising, potential advertisers. So you're getting all of these hits each month, people visiting your website. Guess what? You think some dog food companies would love to put an ad on your site? Of course they would. Do you think some other companies that focus on pets would love to put ads on your site? Of course they would. So when you create a platform, guys, the monetization aspect of that is limitless. It's limitless. Now, remember, there's only 6 types of things that you can sell. Your physical products, your digital products, and your services. Somebody else's physical products, somebody else's digital products, and somebody else's services. So, for example, pet insurance, right? You can sell pet insurance for dogs, and that's a big business out there. Okay, it's like health insurance for dogs. All of that type of stuff, the monetization, it's all about building the platform, and the platform is eyeballs and ears. Okay, your audience. How many people do you attract? Who wants to get in front of that audience? How does it make sense for them to be in front of your audience? And what is it worth to you? And what is it worth to them? So when you have your own platform, that means you can control anything about it. That's why when I answered the question when we were in LA, number one, I don't have to code switch because I just don't have to. My product, service, or whatever is geared toward black folk. I'm black, it's geared toward black folks. So I don't have to code switch. Okay. In terms of partnerships, I don't have to partner with anybody. The majority of the things that you hear advertised on my podcast are my things. Okay. So the books, BEB Academy, Brand Builder Elite Academy, Be Smart, Buy Black, Hire Black Freelancers. They're all mine. That's monetization because it's my platform. I listen to my audience. What does my audience want? What does the BEB family reach out and tell me that they need, that they want? And then I provide that. So when you build your platform, guys, it's the strongest I don't care what you're doing. You need to have a platform, a way to communicate with your audience. And once you can build that platform, then sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Think about some of the sites that you go to on a regular basis. Like me, I go to ESPN or Bleacher Report, right? I want to check out the scores. I want to read about what's happening. So if you ever look at all the ads on ESPN, this is just the website, not the television show or the TV network. The website, they have all types of things sports related. Okay? So the monetization aspect is crazy. They can sell ads on their platform. They can sell their own products or services. It's insane. And that's why I want to get y'all to understand building a platform. You can build a newsletter platform. You got the Skim. You got what's these other the Hustle. All of these newsletters that companies have bought for hundreds of millions of dollars. Why? Because they have the attention of an audience. And if you have the attention of an audience on a consistent basis, I ain't talking about you put out a tweet and 50,000 people respond to it. That's cool. That's just a one-off. You need to build an audience, a platform. A platform could be a podcast. It could be a newsletter. It could be a blog, right? It could be a video channel. Once again, a YouTube channel isn't a platform that you own. A platform is something that you own and control. Social media is great, right? But you use that to leverage. You don't own Twitter. You can get kicked off of that, as Donald Trump. You don't own Instagram. I've told you horror stories about that. You don't own Facebook. You don't own LinkedIn. You don't own YouTube. They're platforms, right? Platforms that you can leverage, but you don't own them. You want to own your platform. Nobody can stop Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Podcast from coming out. You know why? Because I own the platform. They can't stop my website. You know why? Because I control the website. All right. That's what it's all about. Really building a platform that you can control. Not building up a million followers on Instagram. You get shut down. Guess what? Your business is kaput. Fini. Done. Right? So you don't want to do that. You use social media to help build your platform, your email database. I was just talking to a young entrepreneur from Elon University. I did a keynote speech for them last week, and she reached out to me, and I was telling her about building your database. And I always say this, but I'm going to say it again. So Amazon Prime Day, guys, that ain't nothing spectacular. It's simple. Guess what? They send out a discount to all of their database. Amazon Prime, save money, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, when you got 100 million customers or people in your database and you send out a discount or Amazon Prime Day, guess what? You're going to generate revenues. And you can do the same thing. Not on that scale, but you can do the same thing. So if you got 50,000 people in your database and you're running a promotion to save X amount of dollars off of a product or service, you send out that 50,000, that email to those 50,000 people, email which you own and control. Nobody can stop you from sending an email. Guess what? A certain percentage of those people, those 50,000 people will convert. You've created your own Prime Day anytime you want. And you can do that for the different products or services that you sell. Okay, if using that same example of a dog website, a website that focuses on dogs, right? You could have a sale one week on dog bowls. The next week you could have a sale on dog houses. The next week you could have a sale on dog leashes or whatever. So once you build your platform, man, I'm telling y'all, you're going to be unfreaking stoppable. Okay? So when we talk about scaling your business by creating leverage to create partnerships, people only want to partner with somebody that has some value. If you haven't built value in your business or your intellectual property or whatever, you haven't created an asset, nobody's going to want to partner with you. Now, if you both come to the table with something, that's a different thing. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But you can't come to the table with 10 downloads a month and trying to partner with somebody else that, is doing 100,000 downloads a month. You're not equally yoked. So it has to be some type of benefit for the people that you partner with and for you, mutually beneficial. So you can either come to the table with leverage, or you can create your own damn table, right? So Black Entrepreneur Blueprint is its own table. That's my platform, right? I determine who I play with or who comes in my sandbox. And I built that over 7.5 years. And you can do the same thing with your platform. So I'll say this before we close it on out, guys. Don't sleep on building your platform. To me, your platform is your email database. It's your web. If it's a blog, that's your blog. If it's a podcast, it's a podcast. If it's a video channel, it's videos, not necessarily on YouTube, because you can get shut off of that too. But building your platform is key. It's a long game. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you put the work in and are strategic, using social media to build your database, not relying on social media as a platform because it's not your platform. So if you got 100,000 Instagram followers, try to get those 100,000 Instagram followers to subscribe to your podcast, subscribe to your newsletter, subscribe to your email database, things that you can control. That's where it's at, guys, in the long run. What you're seeing right now is a plethora of media companies forming, mini media companies, micro media companies. And what some other people are doing, they're consolidating it. So when I talked about the podcast game, $1 million worth of game, right? Barstool Sports. They're buying and consolidating a ton of podcasts. All right, just go check it out. Barstool Sports. They're curating and combining small media companies to grow a big media company. And so once again, the reason they're buying and partnering with these media companies is because they built up a platform. So if you want to get acquired, you better get a platform. All right. You got to create and build assets. You can't come to the table with nothing. And you damn sure can't create your own table with nothing. All right. So focus on building your platform. Understand the monetization strategy of your platform. Look at what someone else is willing to pay you for your intellectual property or your platform. And can you create a system to maximize the monetization opportunities that you have? And in terms of code switching, it may make sense for you. It may not make sense for you. It all depends on, what your thoughts are and if it makes sense to scale and grow your business. But today, guys, we talked about scaling your business by creating leverage to create partnerships, building assets, family, and building platforms. Now, I say this each and every week, guys. We continue to get more and more downloads. That is because of you, the BEB family. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the new website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, and the ecosystem. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us, family. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.